Coach, did you have Mateo when you were at Washington?
Yeah, I did. I
So,
was the assistant coach at Washington.
I mean, obviously different circumstances now being a head coach and overseeing an entire program, and then now during all of this, what's it been like for you?
Well, the difference is, it's funny when you're an assistant, you can be like, "I'm on maternity leave, don't call me." When you're a head coach, you can't really get them. I mean, you get a maternity leave, but like, there's still some calls. I'm sorry. There's still some calls and decisions I have to make. So, and then like you don't know what it's like that too, because I've never had two, but now I know. But I think that there's just stuff like I wasn't gonna miss the Pac-12 call this morning at 7. Like I'm not. I still like the program still goes on. I can't say, oh, look, wait a month, let me do scheduling in a month. It doesn't work like that. So I think that's the more challenging part. But these are, to me, in my opinion, they're good problems to have. If I have to decide on non-conference that we're playing, so I'm more happy about that, and I'll figure out how to juggle it. But yeah, I'm gonna take. I'll take like 2 more weeks off, so I'll take a couple of weeks off. But yeah, like a regular probably woman gets like 12 weeks to 16 weeks, right? That ain't happening as a coach. So you do it, but that's what I signed up for, right? But it's good.
In terms of just recruiting and where your team is and the obstacles through this entire last 6 months, how do you feel about the program where you're at, considering where you left off at the end of March?
Hey, Saul, good to see you. No, well, so the crazy thing is, if I look back to March, I would have never thought in a billion years that we would be masking and dealing with the stuff we're dealing today. I didn't even think that would even be a possibility. I thought maybe a month. Like, so the reality has been just incredible. Did I ever think we'd start with no fans? No, I thought like, oh, we'll have fans with distance. I just thought we'd be in a really different place now. For me, from a program standpoint, we're a good team. And we've added some pieces. So I'm so excited because our workouts right before I took the maternity leave, like our workouts are good, like another level of intensity. So we've raised our levels. So like I wanted to play. That was the most important thing. And the players haven't played in so long. I mean, we're talking some kids in the off season did not touch a ball for like 6 months. And some you really see, depending on their circumstances, depending on where they live, like some were locked in an apartment, like in Turkey, for months you couldn't even leave your apartment. Like your parents could leave to go to the grocery store. So everybody had different circumstances. So I thought initially that we'd be way more behind. I think our conditioning was like everybody was kind of dying at first, but they're just they're hungry. So I think it's going to be an advantage to us. Now, it's like obviously it's unfortunate circumstances, but I think the Pac-12, Dave Hickey has done an amazing job. Derek Vandermeer has done an amazing job. And I think just the stuff we're putting in place and the aggressive stance we took early, now you see the whole country's doing the stuff. So I think that we're in a good place just at our school, like women's basketball, we haven't had any cases. So my players want to play. So they're doing what they need to do. Men's basketball has done great. We're all supporting each other. So we just like our kids want to play. So they're not out going to frat parties. Because, thankfully, it's just, but, a lot of that's recruiting because 4 years ago, we may have been at the frat parties, but like, it's just, it's kind of where our program's evolved and, we want to play, we want to win and we want a season. That's the most important thing, but there's going to be some big time challenges this year. I mean, travel, we can't be like NBA, WNBA in the bubble. So like the challenges that I see right away, like what about after Christmas? You let the kids go home, you got to file the state. Like there's just going to be a lot of obstacles this year.
How has your program's ability to recruit changed in the last year or two? You guys have been listed in some of like really elite players have had your program in their top 10, top 12 recently.
Yeah. And, we just kind of didn't get a couple kids that I thought. So honestly, from just getting better, winning more games has obviously led to getting on those lists and better recruits. The other thing that really helped us is people look from the outside in and we have like 10,000 people at a rival game. All those things are huge. And the kids want to play the players want to play in front of thousands of people. So this year kind of hurts us with that. But where it's hurt us big time because of where Arizona is, and there's so much talent on the East Coast, there's younger talent on the West Coast, but that's just not the bulk of, and that's usually where we recruit our geographical footprint. But there's so much talent East, it's really hurt us, the pandemic, because now the dead periods until January, half of those kids that we recruited, like we were in on some big time good kids in like Georgia and the South, but they've never been to Arizona, the state of Arizona. Some have never been to California. So to ask them to choose a college when they've never been here, it's not really happening. So I think we would have had a couple more really, really good players if that wouldn't have been the case. And like the fortunate thing is a player like Trinity. Trinity is going to be a very, very good player in our program. She's going to help us win a lot more games. She is a more, mature. She's a fifth year. So she's more like laser focused, wants to go play pro, knows what she wants. But still, we had a very slim chance of getting her from Florida. Like she was looking at all Florida schools, wanted to go close to home. So she kind of stepped out. But for a freshman to do that, or underclassmen in 2021, very hard when they've never been to your state. They have no idea what Arizona's like, besides like on the internet. So that's been something that's hindered us. But I think all the schools, because those kids want to stay closer to home because of what's going on.
You mentioned earlier that maybe I had this confused, but are you guys going to be traveling with the men this season?
No, so there's different model being like proposed. That's not set yet, but one of the things is possibly mirroring the men. So they have 20 games. So there's a talk about like going to one location that everybody plays. So then like the teams like ASU would travel with the men, we travel with our men. That's a possibility, but that's not decided on yet. So if we went to 22 games, it's harder to mirror. So if we went to the same games, it's a little bit easier. So we're getting a model next week of both to look at that. And then we have to decide on that. But from a selfish standpoint, from women's program, we don't charter every trip. So the advantage of going with the men or partnering up, we would charter those, which is something safer. Because during the pandemic, I can't go ask for $68,000 for every trip because I'll get fired if I ask that. I'll get fired before I can complete the sentence. But it's a lot of money, so that's the advantage, and it's safer because there's going to be a whole different set of issues traveling commercial, and it's not the flights; it's the whole process. It's security. It's sitting in the airport, so that's a whole nother thing.
Well, in many ways, though, that sounds like a money-saving operation for everybody. I mean, you just need one plane. Everybody fits on one plane. You don't have to make separate travel arrangements. It's safer. It's more economical. How would the game times change though? How would that work? Somebody's playing in the afternoon, somebody's playing in the evening?
Yeah, I think it would just be at night. It's hard to schedule, but I think that what I was told, but for us, it's not as much of a concern for like the ESPN, the TV. So we can play like on a Thursday at 2:00. Like, and the men would get more of the times for TV, right? Because like from my standpoint, I want Sean to get as many TV games as he can because it's making our school money. So if that meant we only have a couple and we're playing at 1:00 on Tuesday and they're getting prime time and making money for the program, I'm all for it. I'm all in support because I see our department's losing millions of dollars. And we want to keep as many sports and we want our school to be able to sustain. So I'm all for football and men's basketball being on prime times. And I think that the times don't matter as much if we're not doing TV as much. But it's gonna be a challenge, I think. So I'm curious to see. That's why we need to know what model, so we can start trying to finish our schedules. But everybody's in the same boat, which is good. So we're all going to be scrambling all around the country, in the next month.